Following the Great Purification in 97,445 BCE, the Flood, save for the specimens contained and studied within Forerunner installations, was thought by the Forerunners to be starved out of existence and incapable of ever threatening the galaxy again. We, of course, know this not to be true, for when the Covenant Empire discovered Halo for the first time on September 19, 2552 CE, they quickly took to pioneering and fortifying the Sacred Ring, heading deep within its underground facilities. It was there that the Covenant would encounter the Flood containment facilities for the first time, the parasite inadvertently released after 100,000 years of dormancy. Or so it would seem. Most Halo fans, even lore fanatics included, believe this to be the Covenant's first contact with the parasite. However, there is a multitude of evidence to suggest otherwise. There is the February 2531 CE outbreak on Shield World 0459, the Etran Harborage, but the Covenant fleet of glorious interdiction present at the installation was undoubtedly obliterated when the planet's internal sun went supernova, causing the planet to implode. The few Covenant that survived were attached to the Prophet of Regret's escort long before the conflict on the Shield World concluded, likely resulting in these survivors never having encountered the Flood and therefore having no way to know of its existence. Unless, of course, the Covenant knew of the Flood prior to even this event, there is actually more evidence to this than one might imagine. To start off, there is the oldest potential piece of proof one can present, dating all the way back to Halo CE, intertwined with the mission 343 Guilty Spark. The description of the mission reads, "Creep through a swamp to meet the only enemy the Covenant fear." At face value, this is simply referring to the fact that the Covenant have already encountered the unleashed Flood in the swamp, whilst the demon has not. I, however, have always seen it as an indication that the Covenant have always feared the Flood, long before they found it on the ring. And I may just be correct in my assumption, considering the forthcoming sources. In keeping with the Halo Wars focus, let's begin with a line said earlier on in the game's campaign, in the opening cutscene of the second mission in fact. In this cutscene, the Covenant are attempting to access a Forerunner relic located in Harvest's northern polar region. As they are preparing to enter, the contemporary Arbiter, Repo Murami, informs the Fieldmaster Ragish Wamik that the Hierarchs grow weary of the Covenant's hesitation to enter, to which Wamik responds,
"What if the infection defiles the relic?"
Wamik is unmistakably referring to the Flood, of which the fleet of glorious interdiction has not yet encountered on the Shield World. If you do not believe that the 343 Guilty Spark mission's description refers to a previous knowledge of the Flood, then this would be our first hint at such. However, it doesn't end there. Contained within the Halo graphic novel is a famous story known as The Last Voyage of the Infinite Succor. This story takes place around the same time that the Master Chief discovers a Flood in that swamp. In this tale, Artas Fadum is tasked with securing the Covenant DSC-class support ship Infinite Succor, which has gone silent within the fleet. Supreme Commander Thal Badam suspected the humans, but in reality it was the parasite. Artas and his team soon discovered this after they boarded and rallied with the Sanchayum legate on board, the Minister of Ideology. When Artas inquired about these strange life forms, the Minister replied, "I see you never studied, Commander. They are the Flood, one of the many tests and obstacles we must pass to activate the Holy Rings and begin the Great Journey. They are mentioned in several of our religious texts, but the details are woefully inadequate given current circumstances." Well, given this revelation, I think it's very safe to assume that the Covenant were indeed aware of the Flood before the Human-Covenant War. I suppose the question now is, did the Covenant ever engage the Flood in combat, or at least come across it prior to the Human-Covenant War? Well, as of June 29, 2016, we have our answer. As a part of the Warzone Firefight content update to Halo 5 Guardians, we received a new Covenant vehicle variant, the Temple Ghost, Temple Banshee, and Temple Wraith. The Temple Wraith in particular is what I'm focusing on, however. It came with a very intriguing description. It reads, "In the distant past, the Zealots alone had the terrible responsibility of destroying parasite-tainted Forerunner gifts that ran amok after activation. With this new information now pervading our Inquisition, I believe we are justified in saying that the Covenant did know of the Flood prior to the Human-Covenant War. It is mentioned in some of their religious texts, and, at least in the distant past, the Covenant charged Zealot chapters with cleansing the parasite from Forerunner relics. Given that this description is attached to the Temple Wraith, it is reasonable to assume that the Zealots unfortunate enough to be charged with the task of disinfection made ample use of ancient iterations of these masterwork temple vehicles. Perhaps even the religious texts that the Flood are mentioned in derive from the engagements between these courageous Zealots and the unquenchable parasite.